I never responded to your other video response because I kept being like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, and then I just hadn't gotten around to it, and then you made the other one, so I figured I'd just respond to that one, so that's what I'm doing now. So what you said about people having jobs that sustain the lifestyle, you're definitely right. Like, that there's a reason people would, I guess. It seems like so weird to me. The only way I would be in a job that I hated would be if I only had to work like 3 days a week, if that, and I would still have enough money to like go anywhere in the world, just to like go, just be like, hey, let's go on a plane and go to Australia. How do you feel about Ireland today? But I'd want to have enough time to really be able to like explore those places. I'd want to like really like go. I feel like that's probably the only thing that I could ever allow to shackle me, because I'd be happy enough outside of my job, having enough excitement in my life, that it wouldn't affect me to where I still wasn't happy as a whole. It's a separate day from the last time. But then what makes me sad is that you also will see a lot of times people have a job that they don't want so they can have a lifestyle that they want, but it's not even really a lifestyle that they want. Like, it's not one that really makes them happy. And they just like want it so that other people think that they're well off, but really they're not having a good time. As far as what you said to relationships and there becoming like a point in a relationship when people just kind of expect you to get married, that's really depressing, but completely valid. What it reminded me of specifically was actually what I originally flipped off the questioning, like, why would people do that? I have this friend, will possibly watch this video, and she will possibly get angry at me, who was talking to me because she was like nervous that her boyfriend was going to propose to her, and she was like, no, that's not what I want. She'd been telling me a little bit prior to that about some guy that she was in love with, and telling me about how her boyfriend had never made her feel the same way, but she couldn't be with this other guy for whatever reasons, and blah blah blah. Completely came to this realization that that wasn't what she wanted, and yet for some reason she proposed to him. It wasn't a stable relationship. They were like on and off again all the time. They'd been like that for like 2 years. I guess people were kind of expecting them to get together in the end. That was why she did it, I think, was because she knew he was going to do it and she didn't want the pressure. She didn't want to like turn him down. And so she figured she should just go ahead and propose to him. And then if that wasn't what he wanted, he could turn her down and she wouldn't. I don't know. I'm guessing that definitely played a part in it, though. The pressures of, you know, other people thinking like, oh, I bet he's gonna propose to you, I bet he's gonna propose to you, and her being like, yeah, I think he is, but I don't know if I want him to, and then being like, well, why not? You guys have been together for 2 years, even though she was never really happy. But that's such a terrible reason to stay with someone. For me, I feel like I'd rather just be single. Like, I'd rather be single than with someone that I wasn't really happy with. It just blows my mind, because in this case, she knows straight up that there's something better out there. And, you know, I told her when I was talking to her about this that if there was something better out there, I doubt he's the only something better out there. It's gotta be back to what you said, family and friends and whatever pressuring you. What else is really sad to think about is how people will try and change other people's perceptions of it. They'll do small things to make it look like they're happier than they are, because they want to look like they're happy. They want to convince themselves that they're happy. Okay, this is a bad example because it's MySpace, but this girl that I'm talking about specifically, MySpace, he was like her number 5, and then after they got engaged, he immediately became her number 1, and it was like, but he wasn't there before. It's kind of like a 1984 complex, where if everyone thinks that they're happy, they create like this false identity surrounding themselves, and other people thinking you're happy isn't gonna make you happy. Ugh, and it's like, I understand why, it's just so sad. To prompt other people, and you specifically also, I want to know, like, what do you guys think of dating? What do you guys think of, like, monogamy? Do you think that people can be happy with each other for the rest of your lives? Do you think that it's, like, really common? What do you think of the process of getting there? I don't even know really what I'm asking. I'm just curious about other people's thoughts on the subject. Back to the not as depressing, but still kind of depressing subject of celebrities. You said that the interviewing of celebrities is like this nice little game that they play, and it reminded me of this episode of Tyra Banks that I saw one time. The models were supposed to learn like how to look good all the time in case paparazzis caught bad photos of them, and it made me realize that celebrities and being famous is really all a game of perception. Because these celebrities, they control how they look all the time. You see them where you see them on, magazines and TVs and interviews and stuff like that. And if they know they're going to be in a magazine, they look nice. Whenever they go out in public, make sure that they look nice all the time. The way celebrities act in public is not how they act at home. They want people to like them because they don't want it to hurt their popularity. They do what they think people want. You can't please everyone, and that's what celebrities kind of try to do. This is a half-formed idea. In a way, I'm starting to think, like, maybe they're not totally real people. They are, but you never see, like, the real side of them. They're not trying to make you think that they're real people. They're trying to be godlike. But you said how the interviewers will say they were just like a normal person. I think that in general is funny because you're right, you do always see mentions of that. And it's funny because while they're trying to say, hey, look, they're like everyone else, what they're actually saying is that they're not like everyone else. They're not just like anyone else because they have that preconceived expectation to not be just like everyone else. They're really not just like anybody else, but because they're nice, I'm gonna say that, and just by saying that, I'm putting in the implications that they're socially on a higher structural level. It's so weird. Onto the comment that you posted that was about, like, the popular kids in school being kind of like that. That's totally accurate. And I think people in general are kind of like that. Like, people that you don't really personally know, you almost don't associate as human as you. You don't think of them in the same way you think of yourself. Because the more things you have in common with something, I think that's like what makes you feel more connected with them, more just like you. Maybe not even necessarily human, but just like more like you. Because you experience life through your experiences and your thoughts and your beliefs, other people who share those beliefs, you're gonna feel like they're more human to you because they're similar and you can understand them better. This is kind of a controversial example, but my civics economics teacher was talking about some kind of study or something where different people were like shown different advertisements to like help starving kids, and they were more geared towards the kids that were starving of their race than the kids that weren't, which is ridiculous because they're still both kids and they are still both starving. They felt more compassion for the kid of their race because they felt like they had more in common with them. I think everyone kind of does that. For instance, I kind of have a big problem with hate crimes or even people just being rude to people who are gay, like using the word faggot and dyke and stuff like that, even just like verbally. That really makes me angry. Even when I'm not the one being insulted, I feel like that's completely wrong. However, if I were to hear someone use like a racial term, I don't think it would have quite the same effect. Racism is bad. I am in not any way saying it is okay, and I'm not in any way saying that it doesn't make me angry. However, I don't connect with that on a personal level because I have white privilege, because I'm Caucasian. Not even aware that you have it, but at the same time, like, I can't say I've ever been insulted for like my race. And because my race is what's been accepted as like normal, even though I think it's just as common as any other race in the Western society, being Caucasian is like the norm or like the desirable, even though there's not really much difference. And so because I'm just not used to dealing with it, it's not something that I felt on a personal level. I haven't felt that kind of being outcasted by it. It doesn't have such a personal effect on me. However, I have been insulted for being gay. I connect with those people more. It's because I have felt that way that they're feeling, and I can be more empathetic rather than like saying that, well, I understand, like, I think it's wrong, but I really don't understand because I've never been through it. I also think it's kind of the same way with like animals. Most people eat cows, but no one in America would eat like a cat or a dog. And that's because we keep them as house pets. We like gain these connections with them, and we feel like we have more in common with these animals because we share a living space. And the animals that we eat, we don't. We keep them in a barn instead of our house. And that's what makes it feel to us like it's okay to eat one animal but not the other. And it doesn't really make sense because they're still animals. It's just a matter of which ones we connect with the most. And I think with people, it's that way too. There are people that you connect with and that you feel like are equally as human as you, and then there are other people up high in places and make them seem godlike, and then there are other peoples which you kind of demote to like animalistic state. Even if it's not like you're not thinking in that mind frame, like you're a worse person than I am. They're people that you will treat with less respect because you don't connect with them in the same way or you don't idolize them the same way.